Greetings all, and welcome to Everything Borrowed, where conversations are cultivated between myself and some of the greatest minds in a variety of industries. This episode is presented to you by Blake's Hard Cider, a grower and maker of eccentric and uncompromised beverages on a third-generation family-owned farm and orchard. Blake's offers a line of all-natural, gluten-free hard ciders that express the fruits of our labor without all the extra sugar and artificial additives. Locate our award-winning and freshly canned products at blakeshardcider.com. You must be at least 21 to enjoy the fruits of our labor mindfully. We're sitting down to speak with the hilarious Mike Young today, covering comedy, the Hollywood grind, and the business of making it. Comedian, writer, director, and Detroit native, Mike made his mark with his work on Adam, My Guy is a Loser, starring John Stamos, and directing A Stand-Up Guy. Mike is also open for Bob Saget's comedy tour and just released his own stand-up special on Bill Burr's All Things Comedy channel, Who the F is Mike Young?
So talk to me a little bit, man. I mean, for us country bumpkins living out here in the Midwest, and you've kind of made your journey out to the big Hollywood scene, and what was that like?
Yeah, man. I mean, born and raised in born in Detroit, raised in Southfield.
Right.
Class clown. Always wanted to do comedy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Just like spent a lot of time in detention. And, solid B-, C+ students.
Right there with you, man. Yeah.
Anybody with average grades, you could do anything you want. You're pretty much ahead of the game.
Right.
And yeah, man, I went out to LA, probably, the short version of the longest story ever is that I basically, after college at University of Arizona, decided to become a comedian. Always loved comedy.
You went down to Arizona. Did you go to University of Arizona for the women, or what brought you down there?
It was the only place I got in.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, I could only get into Michigan State, so I ended up,
Yeah, I didn't get into state.
Yeah, okay, so head south.
State. I went to OCC for like my first, just to get a couple extra credits, or maybe I think I got in trouble my senior year of high school. Had to go to OCC to like make sure everything was okay. Went there for like a semester. Got into U of A. I had a cousin that went to Arizona. Didn't know anybody. Went to U of A. Started taking trips to LA with like my new friends from Arizona. Always knew I wanted to be a comedian. Always knew I wanted to be a writer. It was just a matter of when can I get there.
Sure.
Couldn't wait to get out of college. And when I went to LA after college, I started waiting in line at the comedy store for like open mic night on like Sundays. And it was literally like the grind that you hear about. You know what I mean? 3 minutes of stand-up at the comedy store. Then like one day, 6-7 months in, Mitzi Shore, the owner of the comedy store, Paulie's
rest in peace. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Mitzi, like the queen of comedy. Sees me one night, and she was always there for like showcase nights. This was before she got Parkinson's and it really got bad, but she would show up there and she'd just sit in the back quietly. And if you saw like the Showtime documentary,
yeah,
she was like the queen that you bow down to.
Right.
So one night I'm doing my 6 minutes on stage, and I get off stage and she basically like taps me in the hallway like when she sees me, and she's like, "Congratulations, I'm making you a regular." And it literally like changes your life.
Right.
It doesn't change your money. You're still broke.
Right.
And you're still calling home for like wire transfers. But it changes your life as far as...
You've made it. You've been recognized. Yeah, right. And that's every story, in the podcast platform. You really hear, that seems to be kind of the entrance into, the comedy club, if you will, to be able to get the blessing by Mitzi. And what year was that you got on as a certified comedian at that point?
Certified comedian. Didn't even know my name got painted on the wall till Bobby Lee pointed it out like 7 months later. When you become a regular, they put your name on the wall.
Right.
And so... to me, like that moment really like it changed my life, because regardless of the fact that they pay you $9 to go do a set, and it's like, it's like fast food money.
Yeah.
It really just gives you the stage and the platform for everybody in Hollywood and anybody to come watch you perform.
Sure.
So that basically changed my whole trajectory because then every day I was on stage. So she's like, call on Monday. And then she made me like an MC of a Sunday night. So every Sunday, I got 2 hours of stage time because I was the guy bringing everybody up. So it like sharpens like a...
Right. You got to be on. You got to be bringing people in.
Bro, I was bringing up Chris Rock, Joey Diaz, Joe Rogan, Brian Holtzman. I mean, Renazizi. I was bringing up D.L. Hughley, Martin Lawrence. You know, you literally...
Yeah, I mean, that's all the kings and queens of comedy, you know, are at that shop. And I mean, that was the thing that as I've kind of learned and kind of started to, you know, immerse myself in kind of the comedy culture. It seems like that is Mecca. That is the spot for...
it's Mecca.
Yeah.
Bro, it's Mecca. Like, the documentary that Mike Binder did was excellent, but you can't even scratch the surface of really what's going on. Like, it's just so deep.
Right, and you know, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about too was, you know, I feel like comedians are like the last bastion of, like, you know, complete free speech and complete, like, you know, just kind of the guards of kind of culture a little bit. And you know, and I just wondered how, you know, how it's shifted as being a comedian in kind of this current time where, you know, I know you just had a special, you know, release not too long ago. Funny as hell, by the way. We all watched it. Yeah, we all watched it. I mean, it's great, you know, and you know, and I guess I just wonder how you feel where comedy's at, because it also seems like it's a brotherhood to a degree. Like, you know, as long as you're not an asshole, you know, it seems like that people are supporting each other, and it seems like an industry that's really about all that. So, you know, what's the behind the scenes look?
I mean, my simple take on it is, if you're an asshole and you're doing dirt that's real dirt, you're gonna get found out at some point, and you're gonna have to pay the piper.
Right.
But to me, nothing on stage is off beaten. Like, you could say, you should be able to say anything you want on stage, do whatever you want on stage, full freedom of speech on stage.
Yeah.
If you're dirty behind the scenes, it just comes out.
Sure.
I'm not down with, like, cancel somebody by like letting the public just ruin your life and stop you from earning a living when you're not proven guilty on anything yet.
Right.
I don't like that.
Right.
I don't like that. But when you do dirt, man, you're going to get found out.
Sure.
And it's eventually going to come out. And it's only a matter of time. But it's interesting because my special came out last week, and a lot of the topics that I talk about, like relationships and sex with girls, you know, women over
30, under 30, yeah.
30, under 30.
So true, though.
A lot of people want to talk about that
right
now.
Yeah.
They're scared to talk about it. But I'm just going to give you the truth and tell you what's really going on in the world. And you can take it for what it's worth, but come try to prove me wrong that it's not happening. But, you know, I've had a couple friends. Listen, man, the whole situation with Brian Callen went down on my movie.
Yeah,
that director was My Man Is a Loser. I love Brian. He hasn't been proven guilty of anything. He's just been accused.
Sure.
And it hurts me to see him, like, unable to make a living at this moment, or, you know, like, fighting to get his life back.
Right.
And it just, and I remember that girl, man. I remember that girl.
Seriously. How you know, when you think about, you know, coming from the Midwest and coming out you know, I always feel like people from the Midwest have this kind of grittiness and kind of like just grind, you know, you know, and you kind of have to, because, you know, our weather kind of is, you know, our weather's shit, you know, our food's mediocre, you know, I mean, you know, all these sorts of, yeah, right. And so, you know, we get by kind of, you know, working our ass off. So, you know, when, you know, you've been out in Hollywood for, you know, for a long time now, you know, do you still feel connected to your Midwest and your Michigan, Detroit, you know, roots? I mean, it seems like you do, but, like, do you get back here? You know, how often do you get back here?
You know, I'm here right now.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. I'm in West Bloomfield. I was in Connecticut yesterday. That's why I had to do this Skype, because I thought I'd still be in Connecticut.
Yeah.
But last night, I drove back from Connecticut. But I stay connected to Detroit vibe. My dad was a scrap man on 8 Mile. I grew up shoveling scrap.
My man.
I talk about it in my act where, like, everybody thinks, like, leaving home is so hard.
Yeah.
To me, staying home is hard.
Yeah,
you know
right,
what I mean?
right.
So, to me, the work ethic is everything. Like, if you got the talent and you have the passion, if you have the work ethic, which you already get being from Detroit area,
right,
then you're gonna be good. Like, there's so many people out there that have made it on work ethic and grind. And when you look back on whenever I look back on any deal I've had or a movie or anything, I love the grind. Bro, I stick up stickers of my own show on the street.
Hey, I got Blake. I got my company, Blake's Hard Cider flag right back there. I'm not afraid to promote myself. You have to, right? I mean, you gotta work.
Yeah, bro. I'll go put Blake's Cider up on like the construction site.
There you go.
I still put stickers.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, it's kind of one of those things, like, no matter where you get to, a special, direct a movie, in a movie, an actor, you never quite feel like you make it. You just move the goalposts, right? And you're just kind of trying to evolve, and you always feel like you have work to do, and, and yourself, you try not to, prove yourself to other people. I think that's unhealthy, but you're always trying to, take your next step, kind of to the next level. And, it's kind of that unrelenting, like, you're never satisfied to a degree.
That's what the artist life is. It's like once you learn that there's no ceiling, that you can always learn more. You can always get better. I'm never going to be satisfied with my movie. I'm never going to be 100% satisfied with my special. You make a piece of art, you do your best. There's always like other people involved that want to like have an opinion. They could have the money and they're your boss.
Right.
That's always going to happen. You just do your best, you put it out, and you move on.
Right.
I don't read any more critic stuff. I don't read reviews of anything anymore.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bro, I'm sensitive.
Yeah, me too. I know. We'll put out like a new product or something, and we'll be all of a sudden, I'm worried if it's successful, if people like it, they think it's too mass appeal, it's not artistic enough, and you're just like, dude, you just got to move on and do, take care of your group and your team and your goals, and you keep going. You talked on something earlier that I wanted to ask you, because, I really don't, I think everyone knows how, actors make it, you understand the financial, the business side of it, but, like as a comedian, is it gigs that used to pay the bills? Is it podcasts? Is it comedy shows? Is it being a producer? What's like, what's the pathway, in kind of the grind? Is it a little bit of everything, or,
If you pop as a comedian first.
Yeah.
Like, I was on the path opening for Joe Rogan and Russell Peters and Sebastian Maniscalco. So I've been blessed to open with and work with, like, some of the best guys. So that was always paying the bills. And then maybe not 7 years ago, I sold my first movie. Well, actually, go back a little before that, I sold, like, a couple TV shows, right? Mm-hmm. So then you sell a TV show to HBO or to ABC, that pays like a way bigger chunk of money, right? Like, they give you a chunk of money, and then your bills are paid for like a year, right?
Right.
You're still moving forward as a stand-up comedian, and I've been on the road with Saget for like the last 7 years. Like,
fucking love him, by the way.
He's
fucking hilarious.
That's paid the bills, and then. But once you pop as a comic, like if my special does as well as I think it's gonna do,
it's gonna do well, man. It's funny. I ingest comedy, and your shit's funny. It's very funny, so it's gonna pop, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So as soon as I pop, like with my comedy, then that just becomes a bigger thing. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean I'm gonna stop directing movies, because I love writing and directing, like almost as much as I love stand-up comedy. Like, it's like right there. Like, I love, because it's the same. It's just another outlet.
Right.
Bill Burr, I was talking to Bill Burr, and I'm like, yo, Bill, I feel kind of bad because I was on the stand-up path, and then I took a left turn to writing when I sold My Man Is a Loser.
Right.
Then they directed. I was telling Bill Burr that I took a left turn, and I felt kind of weird because I was out of stand-up for a minute, because I thought in my mind, I was like, I'm going to direct, and when I get off directing at 8 o'clock at night, I'm going to go do stand-up. But I was lying to myself because I was so exhausted that I couldn't function. And so after you're done with a movie in the day as a director, you're so tired, it didn't do me any good to go do stand-up. So, and Bill Burr basically set me straight. He was like, yeah, bro, I said the same thing about Louis C.K. Then he blew up. You saw what happened. Don't be mad at yourself for directing. Just learning another skill, so that eventually, like in the next, in the very near future, now I have the skill of I can direct, I can write, I can produce. So if I'm with a guy like Bill or anybody, I can make their whole TV show or movie. I don't have to go find out how to do it.
Right. Well, I was gonna say, like, I think that came through in your special. I felt like it was really well produced, and it had elements of production that sometimes you don't see with specials. So, you know, in some ways, maybe that makes you a better, comic down the road because you understand production value. You understand the ways in which to kind of, move a storyline along. So all that stuff I think probably plays in and just kind of the evolution of like your growth, as a comedian or otherwise.
It does, man.
Yeah.
And like my favorites, like Woody Allen and Barry Levinson, and a lot of these guys, when you dig into their history, they started as stand-up comedians. Mike Nichols, like one of the greatest writers of all time, he was a comedian, and so I'm cool with being a comedian that goes off and directs and writes and then comes back to stand-up. When my stand-up takes precedent and I take a year off of making a movie or something, I'll be happy to go headline a tour on my own or like go on a big thing with like, my friends.
Right.
Like Bastion and Saget and those guys.
Yeah.
It's all, but believe me when I tell you, bro, like, it is still a grind.
Yeah.
It's always a grind.
Right.
Saget still grinds.
Yeah, and I mean everyone in America's known him since for 30 years, and he's still grinding.
It still doesn't feel like he's made it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? The guy lives in a palace.
Yeah, right.
Takes his wife to Cabo for 40 days.
Yeah, right.
He's like, I can't wait till I make it. So it's like the same story, man, and you just want to make good. Like, I got the chance to work with Dan Gilbert in Detroit on the movie Adam. He produced the movie Adam that I wrote for Aaron Paul. And he always said this. He just like always instilled like a couple really great little nuggets, and he was just like, make a good product, share it.
Right.
Very simple. Just focus on make a good product and share it, and you'll be good.
Right.
And I was like, if I could just keep that simple mentality, that's all I'm trying to do.
Sure.
So,
right.
All the BS that comes around and all the chirping and the noise that gets in you, I've learned to like kind of clear that
out. Well, the one thing I always thought about like Hollywood, and it was weird that the comic scene is kind of born of Hollywood, but it feels like comics are just they're genuine and they have to be funny, and you have to be honest and you have to be kind of a real. You can't wear many masks. I feel like in the acting world it might be a little different, and it's kind of your thing to wear masks, and as a comedian it's kind of strip them away and just call things as you see it. And I just feel like living in that culture, like I can't even imagine the stories that you have. I mean, we all live. I live a halfway interesting life. I have an alcohol company, but so like I get some good stories. I have some crazy. I've had some awesome experiences, but I just feel like there's probably no crazy experience like being a comic, because there are people that are untethered like completely, and it's just and so who's the craziest, who's the most insane best story? You don't have to get into the stories, but who's the guy who's got the best stories in the comic scene?
To be honest, I'm in the middle of a lot of their stories because I always looked at stand-up comedians. We're like free radicals in the body. We get attached to anything.
Right.
We're alone. We're on stage. It's a dangerous place to be. Crazy stuff happens. But like I got 1,000 stories.
It might be you.
Look, bro, I could tell you because Bobby Lee already talked about it on his, but like, when Bobby Lee was making money and he was not sober, and he might have looked in the back of a newspaper and he possibly wanted to see what it was to get a hooker. You got an alcohol company, so I can say things like that.
We're good, dude.
But I'm being from Detroit, and I already kind of grew up around 8 Mile, and I knew what it was to be around that kind of stuff. I basically went with him, like, to make sure he was okay.
You're a chaperone.
I chaperoned Bobby Lee to a situation where we walked up. I'll just tell you, bro, because he told it, so I can tell you. Do you care if I tell
it? No, dude, please tell it, please.
Yeah, so Bobby he basically wanted to get a hooker. So I went with him. I was like, Bobby, I'll go with you because you don't know what you're doing. You're from San Diego.
Let me teach you.
You don't know shit. You don't know what's going on. I take him to this motel. All right? You already know, like, the room that he's supposed to go to. We walk up the stairs, and I see, like, a guy and a girl on the balcony. Immediately, I'm like, Bobby, this is a sting operation. It's about to go down. You're not going in. He's like, forget that. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm going in. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, don't go in. He's like, whatever, Mike. Go sit in the car. I'm going to go sit in the car. When you walk in, you ask the girl, are you a police officer? And just see what happens. He goes in. I sit in the car. Bobby goes in. He comes out 40 seconds later. Oh my God, I asked her if she was a cop. She didn't answer me. I got nervous. We go back to the Comedy Store. We tell everybody like, oh, Bobby Chicken, but Young saved his life. The next night on the news, there was a prostitution ring busted at that motel on Sunset Boulevard.
Shut up.
And that's just scratching the surface.
Yeah, that was PG. That was a PG story. That's insane.
That's PG, bro. I can tell you straight up, like, I've been jumped and beat up and put in the hospital after shows. I've been in trouble with, like, organized crime families by from comedy.
Oh, that's funny, man. It's like the Last Cowboys. I feel like it's like the comedic group, still untethered, still unbound by like the public's perception, and still able to be pure artists, you know. And honestly, I think we got to protect that space, because like we need people doing, you know, pushing the boundaries of things, and you know, comedians shouldn't be paid to be, you know, PC. You know, who wants that? You know, fuck that.
So my next movie is called Stealing Jokes, and that's kind of the theme of what you're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Is that comedians are like the most gangster art form, because there's nothing holding you back.
Hell yeah.
And they're also like, ironically enough, comedians in the beginning of their career, it's not like an entry level job, right? Like they're paid dirt, they're paid shit.
Right.
And like the irony is that they're providing like the greatest thing you could have, which is laughter and relief from every day. So my movie basically touches on the fact that these comedians are getting treated like dirt, paid like dirt, and finally they wake up one day and they're like, wait a minute, we're doing God's work, bro. We're like the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
We need to flip the script. And so that's kind of where I got that idea.
I love that. So with that movie coming out, you know, Stealing Jokes, is that you writing that, producing that, doing the whole thing? Are you working, you know, how does that process work?
So I had a movie, a stand-up guy that was on Netflix.
Yeah.
And so this idea I've had in my mind for like a few years, right?
Yeah.
And so I was going down the road producing it in LA. I wrote it and I'm going to direct it. So I had a producer in LA that wanted to do it. I really wasn't vibing with him. Mm-hmm. And so I actually called some of the producers that I worked with before. I said, I've got this idea. I want to jump ship on this other producer because he's just not a good dude. And so the finance guys stepped in that I knew, and they were like, yo, let's go make it. So they're just giving me a blessing and saying, go make it. And I'm actually going to shoot a good chunk of it in Detroit. And
all right, I love it.
And we'll start pre-production in January or February.
That's awesome. I mean, it's, you know, I know a couple years ago we had, you know, kind of all these tax credits. We were trying to bring, you know, production and, you know, and movie production and you know, to the Metro Detroit area. I mean, is the scene currently, you know, obviously you're doing your thing here. Are there people coming here to use what I think is, you know, underrated, you know, kind of place of artists and musicians and talent? You know, are things happening here still, or has this pandemic kind of shut down any progress that was kind of being made?
Crazy enough, things are happening here.
Yeah.
So Steven Soderbergh just shot a movie here, and Jason Momoa was in town shooting a movie, and John Hamm's here shooting a movie. So people shooting Detroit, they are starting. Once this pandemic, and I believe that we will get back to work sooner than later, I really do. And protocol will still be in place for Corona, but like it'll get going.
Right.
But Detroit, we don't have the tax incentives set up yet, like the proper way. But you can shoot here inexpensively. And what people love about Detroit is you got the grit. Look, you got the look of a gritty Gotham City.
Yeah.
And then you can turn your camera around and you're in like a beautiful, you know, riverfront look.
Right,
and then you go 5 miles away and you're like in the farmland.
Right.
So where every other movie's got like these major company moves that you got to go drive forever to get to, Detroit's got it all. So my goal, my end game is get movie. And listen, it's already happening, so I'm not like I'm doing it. But I really want to get Detroit-focused movies and entertainment back on the map in a big way. And there's like Detroit rap artists that like I want to put in my movie who I love.
Right. Well, that's the other thing. You know, luckily enough, you know, from an early age, I was connected with all the, I'm not artistic, at all, but I have all these friends that run in the music scene and the art scene and in the film scene, in Metro Detroit, and they always talk about how, and we always know, like, Detroit's got a reputation for its music, and it's always had that, and no one really, fully understands why, but I think it's kind of the struggle and the grit and whatever that kind of creates, real authentic, music or just artists in general. And I always just feel like it's not tapped in on a more like national level, but the talent's here, the musicians that you can go see and the artists that are available. And I think that, people like you who have paved the pathway in can come back and bring more people bring more people out, That's the hope, at least.
I mean, look, man, Jack White, White Stripes are, like, global.
Right.
And the Eminem, global.
Right.
And even the guys under Eminem, like the Royce the 5'9", and Trick, and like that whole hip hop world. And there's like new guys coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I just think every city has a personality. Detroit's got a very distinct personality.
Right.
It's like a fight, or it's a fight for your shit.
Right.
Right. I mean, like, they don't take any BS. It comes through in the music all the way back to Motown.
Yeah.
And so I think Detroit's going to, I don't even want to say come back with that, because that would be disrespectful to the guys that are actually doing it. Like, they already think it's here.
I think just it'll elevate. That's the hope, right?
Elevate. Exactly.
That's
elevate.
it.
And I love the whole hip hop scene. There's these dudes, like, you ever heard of RNC Mike?
No. RNC Mike?
RNC Mike. My nephew turned me on to him. He's like a badass rapper, but he also is his raps are so funny that I gotta try to hunt him down and, like, get him in my movie. But, like,
that's awesome.
I just want to bring people up and get their good work out there to the world more,
Right.
And Detroit, Detroit.
Well, I think the other thing that you talk about, like, and I'm just always trying to look at, like, the silver lining of this whole, pandemic, and obviously it's just affected people in so many negative ways, but try to find the silver lining. And I feel like some of it might be like artists and connection, beyond just having to go through like the Hollywood infrastructure, might have broken down a little bit, and there might be pathways for artists to kind of connect and to get out there beyond just that, that structure that was kind of, the grind that you have to move to AZ and then have to move to Cali and then flip burgers while trying to get, gigs, that sort of thing. It might be able to be, come out, a little bit easier, with your talents.
Yeah. I think you're right, and I think it let everybody know that you don't have to be in Hollywood to make it in Hollywood.
Right.
I don't need to live there. I don't need to be there, because LA is like, it's cool, but it's like, other than the weather, it's not like the greatest place. Like, I got more love for Detroit, and I've been in LA 20 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't have any care about the actual city. I'm not from there.
Right.
I just wanted to go there and make my connections and
right.
like this whole thing lets you know that you could be living anywhere and get your work out there. So.
Right. Now, do you go back and forth? Pre-pandemic is probably a little bit more, but did you have a house out there and a spot here, and you were kind of going back and forth in between shoots and whatnot? Is that how that works?
I got a place in LA that I've always had a place in LA.
Yeah.
And then I just come back here and I'll stay with my mom, or we have a place up in northern Michigan.
Yeah.
I'll go pony up there in Charlevoix. You won't even know I'm in.
Yeah. Isn't that the most underrated spot in like the country? It's fucking amazing. I just got back from there with my wife. It was insane. It's always insane.
Man, it's not even underrated though, because now everyone knows about it. The secret's out.
Yeah, right.
It's an amazing place to be. I spend every summer there.
Yeah.
I get my running done up there.
Yeah.
So I get my head straight in Michigan.
Yep.
And then I just make the deal in LA and come back.
Hey, that's not a bad gig, man. That's the best of both worlds, I think.
Yeah. If I can do 6 months, I'm good. Like.
Yeah, exactly.
I shot both my last movies in New York though. So I've just been wasting money on rent in LA.
Right.
It's time for me to like utilize one of my rich Hollywood friends and stay.
Yeah, right. When you look at like kind of the comedy scenes throughout the country, like, I know like New York kind of has their scene, Boston has their scene, LA obviously has theirs. Detroit's comedy scene, and is there. I know there is one, and I know there has been, there's been different iterations of it, but does the Midwest have a particular, like, I guess, comedy scene, if you will? Is that something that we have to work on? Or, talk a little bit about the different areas, because I feel like it is pocketed. You have these artists from different parts. Obviously Hollywood's the mecca, but they all hail from elsewhere,
Detroit does have a scene, so I've been back here, and I've played Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle.
Yeah.
There's that little, and there's a scene, and then there's like the Punchline in Southfield, and they got their more urban scene.
Yep.
And there's some really funny, talented dudes in Detroit, really funny, and they kind of go out to LA a little bit for pilot season, see if they can't hook a job,
right,
and then they come back. But there is a small scene. It's not as big as LA. It's not as big as New York. Not as big as Atlanta or Chicago or Houston. But there is definitely a scene, and I'd love to do whatever I could to even get the scene going.
Right.
You kind of know as a comedian when it's time to get out, like when it's time to go try to, hit a bigger stage.
Sure.
You know? And the cool thing is, like, somebody like a Kevin Hart will come through, do a show in Detroit. He'll be like, "Yo, give me a local dude to open for me." And sometimes these local guys will
just get the exposure they need.
Tour.
Right.
They're hopping on a major tour.
Right.
So there are some funny dudes here for sure. And the scene is, it's funny, man. It's like a Detroit scene. You go there, everyone's smoking weed or selling weed outside the place. You know what I mean? You're performing in like a jazz club downtown next to a place that sells cashews.
Yeah.
Drumming on a plastic box. It's real Detroit.
Yeah, it's hilarious because you just said that. I'm like, I just am envisioning the whole thing. Like, I've seen it a million times every time you go down to Detroit, and people from outside just like, yeah, that's funny, man.
I don't even know. That's the thing about being from Detroit. You never even feel like you've made anything of yourself. You're like, I don't know if I made it or it's just beginning.
Yeah.
I have no idea where I'm at, because I'll literally go do comedy on the corner near Burt's at the Eastern Market.
Yeah.
But I'll also be on tour for, in front of 7,000 people at the Beacon Theater for Sebastian.
Right. I feel like Sebastian in the last, he's always been funny. I watched his special 4 or 5 years ago. That was when I first saw him. But I feel like he's kind of catapulted to a new stratosphere with, kind of some of his most recent material. And, he fills up stadiums at this point. That's insane.
Bro, Sebastian slept in my mom's basement on the Young American Comedy Tour.
Shut up.
I had my own tour.
Yeah.
It was me, Sebastian, Bobby Lee, Tony Rock, Burt Kreischer. I invented a tour. We did it for like 2-3 years. Everybody slept at my mom's house and left on Thanksgiving morning to go back to their families. But bro, Sebastian's just always been funny.
Yeah.
There's never been a time. He's always been one of my favorites, even though we're good friends. He's always been like one of the only comics I could still just watch and laugh.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching him. And so I'm not surprised that he blew up so big. He put in the work, and he's also just like, he's the kind of guy that you don't know it, but he'll be like listening to Tony Robbins while he's sleeping.
Right. He's like super focused, yeah.
You know what I mean? In his head. He's waking up at 6 a.m. to do his hair. Very disciplined.
Well, it's crazy. You have like, it seems like the Joe Rogans and you have some of these other like comedians that are like surprisingly like just super disciplined. They're crazy and they're funny and they live, like a wild life, but they have this weird, unique discipline, to kind of their approach. And you have to be, I guess, to be an artist and to get good at your craft, right? Kevin Hart, the same. It's all effort and it's all repetition and it's all training, It
is all discipline.
Yeah.
You can fake everybody as much as you want. Now, there are guys that are off the charts, unfortunately, like, some of them are addicts and some are, like, wild and they've gone down a dark path.
Sure.
Even those guys, to have an hour of quality stand-up,
right,
you have to have a level of discipline. And that's where, like, the open mic circuits were the best, because you could just craft your material there.
Right.
So I love that whole coffee shop vibe. Like, me and Sebastian and Burt and Brett Ernst and Bobby Lee, we used to go to, like, every night we were either doing like a coffee shop or like a bar that turned into a comedy club at night.
Right.
The basement of the Ramada Inn in Hollywood where speaks English. You know what I mean? There's drug dealers hiding from people. There's like, you know what I mean? People are being trafficked in.
Yeah.
It was just,
that's insane. But those are the humble roots, man, that keep you funny and keep you grounded to kind of the shit that's going on in everyday life. I feel like comics are great at never forgetting that, and then they're always pulling from that, reality or that kind of perspective.
But you want that. You want those rooms back. Like, now I got to do my new material in the mirror.
Right.
I'm not going to the open mic spots. I'm not going to the coffee, because you get like a little jaded where you're like, I'm not driving, 40 minutes to an open mic place for 6 minutes.
Right.
Back then, that's where you got better. So now you got to do your new material you got to find a room to do it in.
I feel like comedy, and I don't know if you want to like speak on this, but like I feel like it's such a vulnerable thing at times until you're like because you're in there with a purpose to make people laugh, and so like people have an expectation. And I just feel like have you I have to imagine every comedian's bombed and just like forgot what they're saying, but like it gets easier, right? Like you don't get nervous anymore. Do you get nervous? Always nervous?
You always get like an energetic butterfly feeling in your stomach, but it's not so much nervous. Like
yeah,
you want to have like a little bit of nervousness before you go on, but I don't have like the panicky, I want to throw up nerves anymore.
Right.
Thank God.
You're right.
The repetition of doing it every night for like every weekend, 7 shows for 15 straight years, you get past that fear. But I still get like a little nervous, a little amped up.
Right.
Because you want to come on with energy.
Right.
So, if you don't feel anything, then you're just dead inside.
Right.
You don't want to get to where you're not excited to tell your new stuff, but there's always that chance that it's gonna bomb. I mean, everyone's bombed, bro. We've all bombed, and there's no worse feeling. I don't care if you're a musician. You can talk all you want about being in a band and having a bad set. We don't have a guitar behind us.
Yeah, right.
If I make a mistake on a word, you hear the word. Like there's no. I can't fall back on a musical track.
Right.
And like on my lyrics and fake my way through. There's just nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I never forget, like, I got asked to do a TED Talk, like, 4 years ago, and I nailed it every time up into it. I get in front of the biggest audience I've ever been, and I forgot what I was saying for, like, 30 seconds. I was just like, you're just like, you start sweating, you're freaking out, you feel like you're going to throw up. It's like there's nothing worse. Yeah. So I feel like, having to...
I'll tell you the truth. I think he talked about it. I hope. But like Sebastian, when he did Fallon one time, he literally forgot his whole act while on national television. And thank God they can, they don't shoot it, they don't do it live.
Right.
He just really stopped talking.
Yeah, and you just like completely just so if it happens to him, it can happen to anyone. Yeah, that's crazy.
Bro, I've literally been on stage and been like, where am I going?
Yeah.
I don't even know the.
Where am I at?
A full weekend and forgot like the punchline. I don't know. It's like you ever like forget a friend's name that you've known for 20 years. You're like, how the hell? I know you.
Yeah, right.
Like, I think the brain, man.
Yeah.
You just gotta keep the brain.
Yeah, you gotta keep it sharp. Have your juice and I don't know. It's crazy, man. You gotta get the greens, baby.
You did a TED Talk? That's amazing.
Yeah, well, it was like. I think they were looking for content that year, and so they scraped the bottom of the barrel. But no, it was good. It was it was about the hard cider industry, the alcohol industry. I was like a young kid. I was like 21, so they wanted to figure out how like a young kid got into it, and I was like, well, that sort of thing. So anyways, it was cool, but it was in Detroit. There's a pretty good like TED scene here, so Charlie Wahlberg. Kind of has created like a really cool scene where a lot of the artists and whatever can come and talk about, their different, entrepreneurs can come and talk. And, because of Dan Gilbert, we're finally getting, more of an entrepreneurial like kind of vibe and spirit going, in the community, which is really cool to see. And out in California, as much as, people always want to, talk shit about California, they do have that kind of that competition of entrepreneurship that kind of makes everyone better by just kind of a whole group that's just focused on that. And I feel like finally we have a couple big horses in the race here in outside of just the car companies that are starting to really play and kind of the entrepreneur group is like they're artists too. I always look at entrepreneurs. You're kind of
100%.
You're trying to figure out ways to create to bring value and services to people. So that's kind of how I've always looked at like that type of world, and Detroit's coming back in that regard as well too. So it's
Bro,
good to see.
I want to get down. I want to get down with that world. I want to meet with those type of people. Like I love the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Because it's what I am.
Yeah. Right.
director and a comedian, but like you're building a brand, you're building a company, you're building a network, you're getting people to come to get your product. I'm all for that.
Yeah, well, just and you got to meet up with like Charlie Wolberg and talk with that community, because there's a huge community there that is trying to support the arts and artists and highlight Detroit, kind of the renaissance of some of the talent that we have, or just express the talent that's been here. But as far as getting linked up, man, you ever need a farm to shoot one of your specials on, we got you out here, man. There's not a whole lot but cornfield and apple orchards. So
if it was warm, we put a stage out there.
Yeah, right.
Winter's coming. It would have been perfect time for a stage.
Yeah, right. Well, that was the thing we've been talking about. We have 1,000 acres. We're like, should we just like open up like an outdoor like stage and have like music because all the local musicians, I mean, I know in music it's a little different than comedy. Like they only get paid by their shows. I mean, that's how they're making their money. And no shows for a year and a half. What the fuck, So we're like, we have all the space. Like people can come drive their cars out. We'll put up a big ass stadium and do like drive up comedy special, a drive up concert. Who fucking knows?
Bro, you put up the outdoor spot. You put up heaters every 10, 15, 20 feet.
Right.
People, in case the winter comes.
Right.
Who cares if it's cold if you got heaters?
Yeah, right.
You heat the stage a little bit. I don't know, bro. I'll come out there tomorrow and look at the property.
All right, deal.
I think it's a great idea. I'm not even kidding. 'Cause even I think what this pandemic also did is like make people go, we don't really want to be stuck together for a while.
Yeah, right.
We don't want to be stuffed in a place. Give us some outdoor space.
Well,
and if you got the land and the space,
that's what I mean. That's what's been. I've been talking with some of my friends who are managers for some bands in Detroit, and they're like, we need like people to turn like what used to be like crowded venues into like open air venues, and so like for next year we at least get a scene back of people coming to shows, because people are still. It's gonna be another. We're gonna get back to normal. It's gonna be another 6 months before people are like feeling good, being all sweaty at a concert next to someone. Like it's gonna take a little bit of re-entering back into what was for people.
I'm taking the vaccine day one.
That's exactly how I feel. I'm just like, we need to get back to normal, and I mean, the minute that vaccine gets here, like, let's roll. Let's get things back to normal, and let's start hanging out with each other again. Physically, not just virtually.
Human beings need it, man.
Yeah.
We're going through like the craziest social withdrawals, and the biggest bummer is that people need people.
Yeah.
And
right.
This is taxing mentally on, even if you feel like kind of physically feel good, whatever, you're not realizing like the isolation, bro.
Yeah.
That's why they're prisoners in solitary.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and your circle's got, your circle, the people that you're seeing day to day is getting smaller, and it's like, I want to be around more people. I want to see more people, and you're just having to fight every week, every day to kind of to go against your natural instinct, which is, especially when you're not feeling good or you're feeling a little, you want to be with people. It makes you feel better. So we'll get there. We'll get there though.
We're definitely. This is a moment in time. We've been lucky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, we've been like a generation that's pretty much had it easy as far as like pandemics and things like we've just
tragedy, right? Road. Yeah, on a large scale, right?
We learned how to deal. We'll get back to it, no doubt. I mean, I was shaking 600 hands a weekend.
Yeah, right.
I mean, my immune system is strong.
Yeah.
I shook every hand, every filthy hand in America.
Yeah, and I always used to like years ago, I'm a farmer, that sort of thing. I'd always come, to work, and I'd be like, not feeling well. I'd be like, I'm fine. Like, you never thought about like, am I going to pass this on? I just never even considered. I wasn't as considerate as maybe I should have been. I was an asshole. I don't know. Now it's like, I fucking sneeze once, and I'm like, shouldn't go to work, can't go to work. It's crazy.
I see, like, when this first hit, I remember like being outside in LA, and like under my breath, if somebody sneezed like 50 feet away, under my breath, I would just be like, this mother.
Yeah, I know. You're just like,
this whole thing had me mad at everybody sneezing, the maskless jogger.
Yeah, right. The guy breathing like heavy. You're like, all right, mouth breather. Can you calm down?
Calm down with your expressive mouth breathing. Yeah. Now, this had you really on edge.
Yeah, it did. I know, but I think everyone's kind of, finally understanding that just no one knew what the fuck they were doing. And no one really, I mean, it was just complete chaos. And I think people have kind of at least toned down the aggressiveness. It's like, all right, we get it. This is fucked up. For sure.
Fucked up. We will get back. Like our tour, we have a tour set up. And knock on wood, it actually would be perfect because our dates that are set up are right after I'm supposed to shoot Stealing Jokes. So like February, March I'll shoot, and then April, May, June, July, off into the summer I'll go on tour with Saget.
That's awesome. Will you be coming through Detroit?
Oh yeah, bro. We got Royal Oak Music Theater is gonna get on the books.
There we go.
We were set for Royal Oak Music Theater, and then boom, then everything hit.
Everything shut down.
Tickets were being sold. I was excited to come home.
Right.
And that's when the pandemic hit, man, and it was like, what?
Yeah.
It was just a left hook, man. No one saw it coming.
Yeah, well, I know, man, but I think everyone's adapted, and we're all kind of, the opportunity to kind of take that, learn from it, and just, be appreciative to get back in front of people, to, to do comedy in front of people, to, to shake hands and, kiss babies and do the whole nine, well, it'll be, things that used to just maybe be a burden are going to be fun again, so.
Absolutely.
So
every comic's gonna have his COVID material.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you been working on some good COVID material, or you think you're gonna just move right past it because everyone's gonna be so fucking tired of talking about it? But there has to be there's some good stuff in there, right?
I'm coming out with because I got a girlfriend, but like I was a bachelor when it started.
Yeah.
Like my whole bit, my whole thing's gonna be you don't want to be a bachelor in a pandemic.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna go through my bachelor in a pandemic material to open, and then it'll go into it. Because when you're a bachelor in a pandemic, all you're thinking about is you're dying alone. Because you can't breathe.
Yeah, right.
You start thinking about your ex-girlfriend. I should call back my ex. Maybe being a day drinker wasn't so bad. Maybe her bipolar personality isn't something I should judge. Or kids, I could get along with.
Yeah, you start wondering if you were being just, the bar was set too high.
I was going to say, like, my whole line is going to be, I don't need to settle down, but I definitely need to settle.
Right.
Like, who do I think I am? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that great.
That's funny.
I can't wait to try the cider.
Yeah.
Is hard cider like the name for alcohol?
Yeah. So no one knows what the fuck it is, and we're we're working on fixing that. But basically it's fermented apple juice, apple cider. We're the fastest growing in the country. Actually, we're like the 12th largest in the country. And we're in we're in 18 states, so we're not full. We're not out to the West Coast yet. But we've been on a family orchard, 3 generations. My grandpa started in 1946. So family operation. We employ about 900 people, and through the hard cider company, we're finally getting kind of a national presence. And it's just a good opportunity to get in front of more people and talk about our farming roots and our growing roots and all that sort of stuff. So, there's an opportunity. I mean, farming, some people think it's boring, but in like the modern sense of it, there's a lot of opportunity to do things, in kind of a new way. And, we're trying to be kind of on the forefront of that. So, it's been fun. But yeah, it's alcoholic, apple juice is basically all it is.
Let me tell you something. So my girl is from a farm family.
Oh, for real? In Michigan or out west?
St. John, Michigan.
Oh, for real? Okay, yeah.
This is my first intro into, like, you're talking to a Jew on a farm. They never seen a Jew.
Yeah, right.
So I've gone to the farm now. Like, I'm digging the whole farming world.
There you go.
It's real, bro. It's like, I never knew about that.
Yeah, oh wow, you got some real farm country out in St. John. I mean, that's like, it's one road and a lot of farms, dude.
1,000 cows getting hooked up on the cow machine.
Yeah, it's insane.
Milk getting sent out. They're all about it. Nothing's dirty to them. They'll walk through a mud patch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Spend the day with the cow manure smell.
Oh yeah, dude. That's kind of like, that's the morning wake up around here. So the cows are out. But we're only about, you say you're in West Bloomfield. So we're like 45 minutes from you. We're just north, 45 minutes. Right in Armada. So you just basically head north and you run right into us. So You know,
Come visit.
yeah. Well, look me up, man, and I'd love to give you the 50 cent tour. You know, whenever you and the lady want to come out, have a few ciders, I'll show you around. So obviously you got your special out. Where do people find you? How do they look you up? How do they see what you're up to?
So my special is called Who the F is Mike Young, and you can find it on All Things Comedy's YouTube channel, which is owned by Bill Burr and Burt Kreischer and a host of other guys. And then I'll be on tour with Saget in 2021. So MikeYoungComedy.com, which is like getting built right now, so it'll be up in like a couple weeks.
Perfect. By the time we hear, we'll be there.
And then you find me on Instagram at The Real Mike Young. And bro, I'm the worst at social media.
Me too. I have a daily battle with it. I'm like, I think I should be doing it for my business and for whatever. And I'm like, but I hate doing it and I feel fucking stupid doing it. So, I just figured we'd do it. Yeah, I think we got to, right?
My agent's like, forget what you think. He's like, you have to be doing it.
Well, us Detroit guys don't like to do things that feel a little unauthentic, It's like, okay, I'm gonna fucking sit there and fucking take a picture of with Mike Young, It's like, fuck, dude.
You gotta stay, but keep it authentic and then just put it on social media.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, that's where you find me. You can check the special.
Well, hey man, appreciate it very much. Thank you for the time and best of luck with everything. And thanks for representing home.
Thanks for listening and laughing with us today, guys. I hope you remember that everything in life is borrowed, so make sure to love hard, work hard, stay humble, and help each other out along the way. Find and subscribe to more of Everything Borrowed episodes through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. If you really want to make our day, drop us a 5-star review so more people can find the work we're sharing. Stay up to date with weekly articles on business, life, and my interactions with amazing entrepreneurs and creators at everythingborrowedpodcast.com. EBP is produced by Chelsea Cox and Jason Brown. Edited and filmed by Nick Ferguson. Art is produced by Adam Yarbrough. Everything Borrowed is an after-hours media production. Copyright 2020.